The most common trick that I guarantee you will hear at every dealership, regardless of where you go, they're going to say something like, hey guys, so I just bought a car. I'm actually sitting in it right now, and I wanted to go over some of the tips and tricks that I learned in going through the car buying process and working with several dealerships. First, I'm going to go over the steps that you should take if you're considering buying a car. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to go over all the tricks that the dealerships tried to play on me so that you know what to look out for. First things first, figure out your budget and stick to it. This is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what you want if you can't afford it. If you're buying with cash, great, buy with cash. If you have to finance, damn, birds. If you can buy a car with cash, great, buy a car with cash. If you do need to finance a loan, make sure that you keep it as short as reasonably possible, preferably 36, 48, 60 months at the most. Once you start stretching your loan out to 72, 84 months, you're tying too much of your monthly income in things that aren't wealth building. So when you do that, you're hurting your long-term ability to be financially successful. You're in a negative equity cycle, which means 6 years from now, when you should have already been thinking about your new car, you're still paying off your old car. Being in debt forever is not a good plan. Plus, 7 years from now, you'll be starting to pay for repairs on your existing car, and there's nothing worse than having to pay repairs on a car that you're still paying car payments on. Now you're getting gangbanged.
They're defending their nests.
From what? Another thing to keep in mind when you're budgeting for your new car is that your total vehicles, all of the vehicles you own, should never add up to more than half of your annual income. If you're married and you make $100K, you and your spouse both have vehicles, those vehicles in value shouldn't add up to more than $50,000. That's one half of 100,000. This is because vehicles are depreciating assets, which means they go down in value. So when you're tying up 50% of your income in things that are going down in value, it's hard to get ahead financially. So if you want to buy a Tesla and you only make 30 grand a year, it's just not gonna happen. Watch more of my videos to figure out how to make more money, and then you can get a Tesla. So determine what you can write a check for, what you can reasonably finance, and then that should determine what type of vehicle you are in the market for. So if you are financing, do it from your local credit union or your bank. Don't do it from the dealership. The dealership is there to make money, and they are not offering you the best rates that are available. In the last week, my local credit union quoted me 2.84% for a 48 to 60 month loan. That's just to give you a little bit of perspective. When I was talking to these dealerships, they were quoting me 4.99, 5.14%, which just isn't even competitive. There's no way that's gonna happen. Also, from a budgeting perspective, don't forget to factor in the insurance of the new vehicle. If you're upgrading from a beater to a brand new SUV, the odds are your insurance is going to be quite a bit more. So to avoid the surprise, be sure that you factor that into your monthly budget. Get a quote from your insurance company before you buy. And you're calling OnStar. Where did that come from?
Your OnStar call has ended.
Oh my
Goodbye.
gosh. Number 2 thing to keep in mind, don't buy new. Personally, I don't buy new cars. I don't recommend to people that they buy new cars. Our family was looking to upgrade into a 3-row SUV, which is what I'm in right now. One of the vehicles that we were considering was a Chevy Traverse. Typically, a new Chevrolet Traverse costs around 37 grand brand new, depending on the trim level. Right now, I could get a 2018 Traverse, same trim level, 30-ish thousand miles on it for about $23,000. So I can save $14,000, almost a third of the purchase price, just by buying a 2-year-old vehicle. So in 2 years, that vehicle lost $13,000 in value. However, if I bought a used one, if I bought that 2018 and I held it for 2 years and then sold it then, it would have only lost $4,000, maybe $5,000 in value. So the first 2 years of owning a vehicle, that's when a third of the value just disappears. So from a financial perspective, it makes way more sense to buy a used car than a new car. However, if you're someone who likes having new things, you like comparing yourselves to others, you get confidence from material possessions, you want people to know that you're better than them, now is really a pretty good time to buy a new car. Vehicle sales are way down. Some statistics say 80% down vehicle sales, and dealerships have more cars on their lot than they were expecting. Using the Chevrolet Traverse as an example, a dealership in my area was quoting Chevrolet Traverses typically MSRP at $37,000. They were letting them go for about $32,000, which is roughly $5,000 off of the retail price. So while I don't recommend it, car manufacturers are offering great deals right now. Local dealerships are offering great deals right now. So if you are someone who likes to buy new cars, no judgment, but now is a really great time to buy a new car. I'll put a link in the description that will take you to a page that will show you what each manufacturer is currently offering for incentives, if that's relevant to you. Tip number 3, when you're buying your car, do your research before you get onto the lot. I knew that we were shopping for 3-row SUVs. My wife is pregnant. We're having a baby boy. We don't have a large enough vehicle that would hold all 5 of us, so we knew we wanted a 3-row SUV. So we narrowed it down to 3 that we liked the look of, were in our price range, and that weren't likely to kill our entire family in the event that we got into an accident. Those were my criteria. So I looked at Consumer Reports, I looked at US Cars. I probably did 30 or 40 hours of research, figuring out the best cars, what they should cost, best ratings, miles per gallon, the amount of legroom in the 3rd row versus the 2nd row. Knew exactly what I wanted before I started looking for it. Now, instead of walking into some random lot and saying, hey, I want to test drive 3-row SUVs, I scheduled a specific test drive for the specific vehicle that I wanted at the specific price that I wanted. Knew what those vehicles went for. I knew because I'd done the research, what's a good deal, what's not a good deal. And at the end of the day, our family was able to make a decision that we were confident with. Tip number 4, what not where. Almost every dealership has a good car for sale. There's a good car on the lot. Whether it's a specific dealership for a manufacturer, whether it's just a used car lot or CarMax or Enterprise or Hertz Car Sales, everybody has good vehicles on the lot. So don't worry so much about who is selling the car. Sometimes I hear people say,
I would never buy a car from a rental company.
Those are driven way too hard and they smell like cocaine and hookers.
keep in mind that the rental car company is only selling the 20% of the cars that they want. Where do the other 80% go? Dealership that you're buying them from. They go to auction. Dealers come, they pick them up, and they put them on their lot. So don't worry so much about who is selling it to you versus the actual quality of the car itself. Now, those are the steps that I took before I even walked onto the lot. Now, let's go over some of the dealership tricks that I encountered when I was working with various dealerships across my local area. I reached out to 6 different dealerships on various vehicles, and all of them had some sort of trick up their sleeve. First thing to keep in mind when you're walking into a dealership, handle one thing at a time. If you're trading in a car, settle the trade-in value of the car before you even talk about the pricing of the new car. They'll want to cram your trade value into a line item on the greater purchase contract and try and hide over the fact that they're probably not giving you what your trade-in value is worth. If you do notice it, you'll say, oh, this trade-in value seems a little low. KBB, Kelley Blue Book, has it a little bit different. And they'll go, oh, well, we pay for the Kelley Blue Book Premium, which is different than the consumer version that you have. So we have more accurate pricing. And then you're just like,
Well, what's the point of Kelley Blue Book if it's not accurate pricing?
it's all just a sham. It's all a game. They're trying to give you a low trade-in value so that they can make a killing when they resell your car. All that to say, decide the trade-in value of the vehicle before you move on to the purchase contract of the next vehicle. Also, and really the smarter financial move is consider selling it private party. It's usually a little bit more work, but you can make anywhere from 20 to 50% more selling it private party than you would through the dealership. If you really don't want to go through the hassle of selling it private party, Again, no judgment. I would definitely make sure that you get an appraisal from CarMax though. CarMax has an easy online appraisal process. You put in the details of your vehicle, snap a couple pics, you send it in. They'll give you a value for your vehicle and you can use that as ammunition at your local dealership, or you can drive to the nearest CarMax and trade it in. In my case, the online appraisal from CarMax for the Jeep that we were having was $3,500 more than what the local Jeep dealership quoted me. So there's a big difference. Another thing to keep in mind when you're dealing with the dealers is don't tell them how you are paying. Don't tell them you're financing. Don't tell them you're paying cash. Negotiate the price of the vehicle before you discuss the payment terms. The dealership makes more money off of you if you use their in-house financing. If you come in and you say, hey, I'm a cash buyer, they're gonna know, okay, we're not making any money off of this guy through the financing department, so they're gonna be less willing to negotiate with you on the price of the vehicle because their margins are gonna be squeezed even more. Obviously, don't lie. If they ask you, how do you plan on paying with the vehicle, what I said over and over was, I wanna figure out the price of the car before we discuss how I'm gonna pay for it. And you don't sound like a jackass, just say it in a nice way. Hey, want to figure out the price? And then we'll talk about my payment options. The most common trick that I guarantee you will hear at every dealership, regardless of where you go, they're going to say something like, hey, what payment were you hoping to get at? What payment were you hoping for? What do you want your payment to look like? This is a trick. This is a trap. They want to minimize your thought process so that you're not thinking about how expensive any given vehicle is. You're thinking small terms. Oh, I can afford a $300 payment. Oh, I can afford a $450 payment. It's a trick. Plus, they can inflate the value of the vehicle. They can add in all of this other garbage that you don't need, and they'll extend your loan term out to 120 months, but they'll give you your $215 payment that you were hoping for. So when they ask you and they are going to, hey, what payment you were hoping for, you say, I'm not so worried about the payment as I am the final price. And sometimes you're gonna have to tell them multiple times because they are so used to just saying, hey, what payment do you want? What payment do you want? What payment do you want? They say it all day, every day. It's what they're trained to do. Stick to the total purchase price, not the payment. Another thing, a trick, piece of advice, don't buy anything but the car. They're not your insurance guy. They're not your mechanic. They're not your loan servicer. You're not there to buy an extended warranty. You're not there to buy gap insurance. You don't need VIN etching in case your car gets stolen. That's a scam. You don't need nitrogen tires. 80% of the air you're breathing is nitrogen. You don't need more. You're there to buy the car and nothing else. They sell you all those other things because they make money off of you and they love the money. When I ended up purchasing our vehicle, we had negotiated the price down to $23,000 and change. This is a 2018 GMC Acadia SLT1. On the purchasing sheet that they slid across the table to me, they showed me the price of the vehicle that we negotiated to, they showed me the taxes and fees, and they showed me a random line item that says MAINT, MAINT/gap for $5,200. And so you scroll all the way down to the bottom of that purchase contract. There's no total. It doesn't tell you what it all adds up to, which was like $30-something thousand. It just tells you the payment of what they're guessing your payment would be based on your interest rate if you use their in-house financing. Because remember, I haven't told them how I was paying yet. So super deceptive. They tried to include a prepaid service package for the vehicle into the purchase agreement as well as gap insurance. Complete scam. Told them I wanted it off. They took it off. When we got to the purchase contract, it miraculously showed up again. So I reminded them, oh, you know, we actually don't want this. I'm sure it was an honest mistake, but just beware. You're there to buy the car. You're not there to buy anything else. Another thing that you're going to encounter a lot is, oh, you know, let me talk to my manager. Let me go talk to the GM. You'll find out that anytime you negotiate anything with the sales guy, for some reason, he has no ability to make any decision whatsoever at all. They've always got to go talk to the big dog on the back to get the approval. Now, from what I've researched, this is just a tactic to give you the impression that they're not the real decision maker. I have a feeling, I've never worked at a dealership, I have a feeling that the sales people have more power than that they're willing to lead on. What I think happens is they just go in the back, tell a joke, and come back out and say, no, you know, the mysterious guy in the back said that couldn't happen. Whether it's true or not, you get to learn to hate the guy in the back because he won't ever do the deal unless you threaten to leave. Car that I did end up buying after talking to several dealerships, I went to the dealership, I test drove it, we sat down at the table, we couldn't come to an agreement, and I left. What do you know? A couple hours later, the GM called me up and we were able to come to an agreement. Now, why we couldn't come to an agreement while I was there, I don't know. I don't know if that's because the sales guy wasn't actually talking to him, or maybe they didn't think that I would actually walk away. But regardless, don't be afraid to walk out, drive away. If they want to sell you the car, they'll call you back. Another thing to keep in mind, the finance guy is not your friend. You'll find that when it's time to talk to the finance guy, he is the nicest guy or she is the nicest gal in the building. They're going to ask about your family, what you like to do. They're going to be buddy-buddy. One thing to keep in mind, this is the best salesman in the building. The majority of the money that dealerships make is made in the finance office. They know what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying these people are bad. I'm sure they're genuine people, but they're doing their job and they're there because they're good at doing their job. They'll pull you in and they say things like, "Ooh, let me see what I can do for you here," or "Hey, I'm gonna do you one," or "You know, I like you. Let me see what kind of deal I can work out." And then they'll try and peddle you extended warranty, nitrogen tires, all that stuff again, and tell you how much you need it and how they're going to cut you a great deal and it'll be half off and blah, 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 blah. One of the finance guys that I worked with actually told me that he didn't think that my local credit union was going to honor the loan because they stopped taking new memberships 6 months ago. But I called the bank before I went there and we were good to go. So whether this particular guy was trying to honestly help me or he was trying to make more money for the house, you know, I'm not going to cast judgment, but beware that there are these tricks all along the way that they play that make them more money. They're really good at it. This is all they do all day, every day. And again, I'm sure most car salespeople are good people. Just like us, they're trying to make a living. I actually experimented with different personalities a little bit. With one person, I'd be more direct and assertive and tell them exactly what I want. And if they can't do it, then it's not going to happen. And then other people, I would try and be more passive and ignorant and kind of see how it worked out. At the end of the day, be nice, be polite. They're regular people, just like you and I. If they can help you, they probably will. Just like anything, there are sleaze bags there. I'm pretty sure the guy that sold me my car was a sleaze bag. But they have been trained to offer you everything under the sun, and that's what they do. They're doing their job. And some of them probably believe that this stuff is actually good for you, but you don't need it. All in all, don't let your new vehicle experience get hosed by a bad sales rep or, you know, a bad dealership. Enjoy it. It's fun. It's exciting. Just pay attention. Truthfully, buying from a local dealership was kind of a hassle. I mean, it took me like 6 hours, which is just ridiculous. I've bought from Hertz Car Sales in the past. I've bought from CarMax in the past. They were much quicker. I'm not sure if it's just because of the local dealership that I went to, but I've had a much better experience with CarMax and Hertz sales, and I know Enterprise is good from what I've heard. So if you're looking, you know, if all of this is overwhelming and you're worried that you're going to get hosed, CarMax, Hertz, Enterprise car sales, they have no haggle pricing. So they're giving you a fair price. You can walk in, you can tell them you want this car, you know exactly what it costs. All of the fees are there laid out. You don't have to negotiate at all. You're probably going to pay a little bit of premium. If you went, you know, to a neighbor dealership and got the same car, you could probably negotiate a better deal. But if you're worried or you have anxiety and you really don't want to pay too much for a car, those are safe options. I've bought from all of those and I have not had any vehicle problems. So I hope this helped. I hope this gave you some ideas, some things to do, some things to think about. If you got something out of it, I would appreciate if you liked the video. Subscribe if you'd like to see what else comes out. Thanks, guys.